Thank you. I'd like to begin with a famous quote that I think we all know. Behind every iconic Asian Australian newsreader is a straight white man, desperately grabbing a hold of her coattails and claiming credit for all her success. Good afternoon, my name is Chris Leben, and I am that straight white man. Now, if you're not sure who that iconic newsreader is, it's of course this woman, SBS newsreader and Gold Logie loser, Miss Lee Lin Chin. Come on, I ran her campaign, it's my fault too. And I'm one of the creative minds behind her comedy character, also called Lee Lin Chin, that you might have seen on SBS's youth news and current affairs program, The Feed, in sketches such as this.
You know, people often come up to me and ask,
"Oh my God, Lee Lin Chin, how do you keep such a trim figure?"
and then I maze them for assuming they have the right to speak to me.
Biting satire there. You can hear the influences, Shakespeare, Chaucer, they're all there. And basically, I'm here today to teach you how to solve one of the greatest questions of our time. How exactly do you turn a respected newsreader into a comedy star? Some of the brightest thinkers in history have pondered this question, from Aristotle to Socrates, to other philosophers who didn't come up on the first page of my Google results. And while the answer may have eluded them, I think I figured it out. When turning a newsreader into a comedy character, the major rule is you must defy expectations. Now, you're probably sitting there thinking, Chris, the mere act of turning a newsreader into a comedian is in itself defying expectations. And put simply, yes. But put more complexly, maybe not. You see, it is true that we don't often see our newsreaders cracking jokes or moving away from their more serious personas, unless, of course, they're caught off guard.
That was torched by the Taliban during the fight. The Afghan army did manage to get a grip on this situation, but the Taliban managed to strike in the very heart of this city, leaving many here wondering what will be hit next.
Oh, is that handsome? And a footnote to that story.
A footnote to that clip, Lee Lin has not given me permission to air this today, and she is going to get me in so much shit. By the way, that handsome is Dan Rivers, and he's a ITV correspondent in the UK. And according to Twitter, he is, unfortunately for Lee Lin, very much married. But as Lee Lin constantly likes to remind me, a ring don't mean a thing. So Dan, if you are watching, she's coming for you. Now, whilst we're going to be trying to defy expectations, we also need to follow one of the most basic rules of comedy. The best comedy comes from truth. Basically, you take your subject, in our case, Lee Lin Chin, and you find some real-life traits about her and exaggerate them for a comedic purpose. When I was tasked with this, and I just joined The Feed, I found this quite difficult because, like the rest of Australia, I didn't watch SBS. Seriously, look at their ratings. I quit in November. I can't get in trouble anymore. So, because I didn't really even know who Lee Lin Chin was, so I went around and asked her colleagues for stories about her, little bit of tidbits of information that I could use to write this character. And they told me that she was a fashionista, an avid lover of beer, and that she regularly went to backpacker hotels to pick up international hotties as she depleted Australia's supply. Now that last bit sounds like a joke, but I didn't write that. Someone actually told me that, and I hope it's real. So suddenly, Lee Lin turned from a newsreader into an alcoholic.
I was drunk for most of the 80s.
Fashion obsessed.
You're getting close to the truth, Lee Lin. Keep pulling at the thread.
Not on this outfit, you don't. It's vintage Yamamoto.
Violent.
Come on, you're going to fight me to death or talk me to death? Less gabbing and more stabbing.
Sexual monster.
Six packs you just want to lick.
So once we released this character, first on TV and then later on the internet, things started to take off. People responded to it, they liked it. But why? Was the writing particularly good? I've read way too many internet comments to believe that. But I do know that we were doing one thing that wasn't really being seen on Australian TV. We were featuring an older Asian woman in a position of power. And unfortunately, that wasn't that common.
No one wants to hear a straight white guy talk about screen diversity.
Which is awkward, because our next topic is screen diversity. And I understand being the last talker at this TEDx event and being a straight white man talking about diversity, I am a huge part of the problem. I am so sorry. But diversity is important. Australia is a very diverse country. 32% of our population come from a non-Anglo background. We have an increasingly older population. And I don't know if you know this, but 51% of our population are women. What? I was as surprised as you are. Then why are all the guys on TV men? I don't know. Patriarchy. But basically, Lee Lin ticks all those boxes, but we never bring attention to it. Those facts that she is Asian, older, and a woman doesn't really come into the character. We never make stereotypical or offensive jokes about any of those topics. What is important, though, is that Lee Lin's character is always high status, whilst those around her are low status and inept, sometimes to the detriment of my own self-esteem.
Who are you?
It's not important who I am. What matters now is that...
Lee Lin, my eyes. Fat nerd? What are you doing sneaking into the dressing room?
I've been working in TV for about 8 years now, and I've been on quite a bit. I've only been recognized once, and it was at a urinal when a dude turned to me and went, "Ha ha, fat nerd!" I really regret writing that. But it isn't just with Lee Lin's race, gender, and age that we're defying expectations. We're also defying expectations when it comes to demographics. Now, Lee Lin's character brought together demographics that are very rarely seen. Gen Xers, baby boomers, and millennials all together. Let's put it this way, right? The news is an old person's game. Raise your hand if you watch news on TV. Okay, so you watch news on TV. What's your name? Maya? Okay, and how old are you, Maya? 16. Okay, and what news program do you watch on TV, Maya? You're a liar! Millennials consume all their news through the internet, through Wi-Fi enabled fidget spinners. 60% of Australians aged between 18 and 24 consume all their news online through Facebook and Twitter, websites like that. And 64% of Australians aged 25 to 34 do the exact same thing. So you thought I was being an asshole with that fidget spinner line. I was, but I have the facts to back it up. And the thing with the new school of comedy as well is that old people don't really watch it. But when we were providing them with a character from a personality that they'd seen on their TV for 28 years, the older generations, millennials and Gen Xers, would tune into the feed and they'd see Lee Lin's character. And then they'd stick around and then they'd see the stories and reports and documentaries that the feed made from our perspective, from the millennial perspective. They would see the stories that mattered to us: marriage equality, wealth disparity, that type of thing. And it may not have changed their minds, but it was getting them involved in a side of the conversation that they wouldn't normally see on mainstream media. And conversely, the same thing happened with the news. Millennials would watch these sketches, mainly online, and then tune in to watch Lee Lin read the news. Admittedly, it was to see what outfit she'd be wearing, but let's face it, they're fucking awesome. And the thing is, that's really important in today's world of fake news. 40% of Australians don't trust the mainstream media anymore. We're switching off. And instead, we're turning to comedians to inform us. We're turning to people like Seth Meyers, Samantha Bee, and in Australia, Charlie Pickering and Sean McAuliffe. Now, these comedians have agendas that they're pushing, but we know that. They're being open and honest about it. And that's one of the reasons why Lee Lin works, because it's combining those two things. It's combining the comedy and the news. Now, Lee Lin's character is never political or topical, but you watch those sketches, you share a laugh with her, and it humanizes her news broadcasts. Then the news broadcast feeds into the comedy because it's so absurd that a respected newsreader would be doing these stupid little sketches. And, you know, that's kind of why that character worked so well.
What on earth are you talking about, little man?
God?
Some have called me that, yes. But you can call me Miss Chin.
Lee Lin, Miss Chin, what are you doing here? I don't need you.
Saving this TEDx talk.
This TEDx talk does not need saving. These guys are liking it.
They're not liking it. Do my intro.
No, Lee Lin, I don't need you to come out right now.
Do my intro.
I met Lee Lin 4 years ago, and she made me memorize this introduction in case she ever wanted to interrupt a speech of mine. In the 4 years we've known her, she's interrupted every speech. So ladies and gentlemen, please rise. No, seriously, I'm gonna need you to get the fuck up. Everybody rise. If you are not on your feet when Lee Lin comes out, we will all pay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Lee Lin, the fashionista of House Chin. First and last of her name, the Queen of Australia, Miss Lee Lin Chin!
Shut up. Do you dig my groovy specs?
You guys can sit now. Lee Lin Chin, TEDxYouth Sydney, TEDxYouth Sydney, Lee Lin Chin.
Thank you. And hello, Teddies. Could you put a photo of me up on the screen again, please?
Yeah, sure.
And preferably a sexy one. Oh, perfect. The sex robot look.
It is, isn't it? Lee Lin, look, I really appreciate you coming out, but I don't really know what you're doing here.
Well, there's a very good reason I'm here.
Okay.
You've been bleating on about teaching these impressionable children how to turn a newsreader into a comedy star.
Yes.
Which, by the way, I don't think is a particularly useful or lucrative skill. Look at you. You still live with your parents.
That is not true.
But so far, you've just talked about representation and demographics.
Yeah, those things are important to know.
And boring. And what's more, those are just things directors like you say all the time to make yourself sound like you know what you're doing.
No,
You obviously don't. We both know that. Look at you. You dressed like an extra from the Lost Boys.
Lee Lin, that is a terrible reference. These guys are millennials. They have not seen that movie.
Be that as it may, it's still Sickburn.
Sick burn. Okay, cool.
And you are completely missing the point.
Okay.
I'm saying
Yes.
sex, race, age, a sexual appetite to rival Hugh Hefner's. That's not why people connected with my character.
Well, why did they?
They connected because of me. It was me, it is me, all me. No one else matters.
Okay, that's not really cool, Lee Lin.
Excuse me?
Look, you come here and you ruin my TEDx talk. You make it all about you. I was just about to get to the end. I was going to get my big finale out where I brought everything together, explained this talk.
You mean you're really proud of the bit where you say the best way to turn a newsreader into a comedy star
Yep.
is to give the audience something they weren't expecting
Yep.
or would otherwise not expect to see or hear.
Yeah.
That's your big
That doesn't seem like
revelation.
my wording, but I get that you're stuck on the script. That's fine.
Yes. And that's your big revelation. But let me tell you, regrettably, in today's society, that is anyone who is a minority, a part of the LGBTQI community, over 50 years of age, or a woman in a lead role that is either derogatory, stereotypical, or in questionable taste.
Yep.
At a loss for words?
What she said? That's the it's the end of my TED talk. She finished it. My name is Chris Leben, and you guys have been great.
And I've been Lee Lin Chin. And you've been most welcome. Come back here, little man.
Sorry, Lee Lin, I forgot.